2008, I joined a crowd in Sydney that taught you all these things about writing your own programs, Monte Carlos, and we did all the, so I did a course with them for probably about 9 months, design your own systems, and it's all the different from shorting systems, reversion to trends, and also CFDs. So obviously I was quite confident by the time I ended that program, but then started trading and then obviously lost a fair amount of money. There was nothing about psychology or anything else. So if I reflect back on all the things now, I would realize that there was all about mechanical system, trying to get the silver bullet, trying to get the holy grail of whatever it is. And on paper, it looked always great and it always you felt. And then the reality was just so much different. Stick with it for a while, lost money, then just sort of run out of puff a little bit, because if you're not psychologically prepared, then we start losing and it continue to happen, then it becomes quite hard. A couple of years later, I joined ShareWealth Systems for a period. At that stage, you had SPA 3 CFD. And so I went back into that again, a similar repeat, but I think your systems were probably a lot better than the ones that I thought I had. And I reflected on it during this course about why did I step out every time? I got in and then I do it. I lose money. And then when you do that, you get to the point where you have to, high market risk, you go out eventually, you're out completely. And then I never actually got the guts or whatever to get back into it when the time came. And then I just wasn't there. So one of the things I think I understand a little bit better now is the fact that you have to be in there for the longer run. So every time I went out and not going back, that was probably the biggest mistake I made, is I'd never created the opportunity to actually then come back and potentially get the run up in the market. I always went out at the so-called close to when the systems kicked me out, but I never came back in. Enter back again now in, a couple of months ago. And so I was quite pleased because I just couldn't understand why things not working. And I believed that I've done the mechanical systems correctly. I did all of that. But it was for me that I couldn't persist. I just didn't got an understanding that what I have now with the training. And yes, I had the book, The Trading in the Zone, because you guys have been advocating that for some while, and obviously read it again. But I think via the course, by breaking it up and actually see you guys talking to it, then go back and read it, do the homework, I thought I got a lot more value from that by doing it that way. Yeah, and I think for me, then that's created a very different perspective now. And I'm hoping, as I said to my wife, I'm just going to do it because I feel like I want to just do it. I almost want to do it as a hobby. I virtually got no expectation about making money. Obviously, I don't want to lose money. My focus is slightly different this time, but I'm not there into necessarily to make the 20% or the 30%. To me, that will be nice and will be a byproduct of what happens. And I want to try and stick in it for the longer term. One of the things that I thought I enjoyed in the book was about the whole thing about the casino. I read it before, but I didn't really, I think, understood it as well as I think I understand it now. You have to be in it. You have an edge. You just have to make yourself available all the time. You're just going to have to stay in it, because at the end, the edge will manifest itself. And I think every time I've gone out too early, I never gave the edge the opportunity to work its magic. So I think from that perspective, the training has been good for me, because of that perspective, I could hear what you guys are saying and so on. Reciting the fundamental truths has been great, because when I start thinking about things, I can always go back. And then it's amazing when you start thinking about it, how many times you can see, okay, the truths are truths. I think I'm a lot more confident in it. And as I said, I have to be in there for, and I know, the long haul, because I've now seen every time when I've gone out, I didn't come back. I'm aware of that tendency, and I need to I don't want to repeat that, because it'll be a disaster. So I need to stick through it. And I think that's where the skills acquisition plan, do your 25, do that, just stick with it, see what will happen in that period. But it could be that you do 25 trades and you might not even get to that type of, especially in the Australian market now, isn't it? They're so choppy. You might not actually get to a proper drawdown, and you might not get to a new high, even with 25. But I think somebody said it, just then repeat it again and just repeat it again until you feel like you're confident enough. And I think the other thing that I've also thought about, or somebody said, is, I think you might have said it, Gary, is that the way you look at a drawdown is that creates the opportunity. Because if you go the big sort of drop in the market, that creates the opportunity. And I think that's the thing, and that's why I've missed it every time. When it's gone down, I didn't have the guts to get back into and then grab the opportunity. So in a one way, it's about how you think about a big drop in the market. Is to say, well, that's going to bring an opportunity. And as I said, this time around, it's a lot more about the psychology and less about the system or the triggers or the analysis or whatever. So I'm trying to just stay clear of that as much as I can. Just trust the system, do it, take the trade, do it, and just mentally try and prepare myself as much as I can all the time. I think I'm better prepared psychologically than when I've been in the past. And I've gone on a journey where it was, as I said, I started very technical, becomes less and less, but still very much technical and analysis. And I'm trying to shift this now to become more psychology and so less on the analysis. So I'm not trying to understand any of the signals. I'm just want to try and execute it and move on. Apply those fundamental truths. You need to trust that edge, and I keep on getting back to that. And unfortunately, you're going to have to experience it yourself. And I think that's what you're saying. When you go through drawdown, start to say, but the edge is working. Until you haven't experienced that, it will be a psychological, you're going to have to do a lot of self-talk and affirmations and things to try and get you going in that journey. But the moment you get runs on the board, it becomes a little bit easier. I never realized the importance of psychology. That's for me the biggest learning out of it.